Teams trying to shut down the Boston Bruins already have enough problems on their plate, and now the blue line is chipping in even more consistently, highlighted by two spectacular goals scored last night against the San Jose Sharks, one by Hampus Lindholm and one by Charlie McAvoy. Let's talk about that and more on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked Beat. Today is Monday, January 23rd, and this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. I want to thank you as well for making Locked On Boston Bruins part of your day, free and available on your favorite podcast app as well as on YouTube. Please do smash that subscribe button so that you never miss a thing. If you're on Twitter, Instagram, you can find the podcast at Locked NHL Bruins, and you can find me, my dad jokes, and hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren. The Boston Bruins continue to roll, last night defeating the San Jose Sharks by a score of 4-0, and they now head out on a road trip to round out the pre-All-Star game portion of the schedule. Now, first, before we talk about the defenseman getting involved, people have been asking, did Linus Ullmark get credited with a shutout last night? And the answer, unfortunately, is no. He did make 17 saves for the win, improving his record to 25-2-1 through 30 games. Only one goalie has recorded 25 wins in fewer games, and that was Boston's Tiny Thompson back in 1929-30. Now, the reason he didn't register his third shutout of the season is because he had to briefly give the net to Jeremy Swayman, who made one save, 3 minutes of ice time, because Ullmark had an issue with his skate. To have a shutout, you have to make each and every save in the game. So, unfortunately, Ullmark didn't get credit for the shutout, although he did improve on his league-leading goaltending numbers, improving his goals against average, his save percentage, and wins. Now, I think we need to give a shout out to the Seattle Kraken because assistant coach John Gruden revealed that when the Kraken were in town recently, it was noted that they ranked near the top of the league in goals scored by their defensemen. The Bruins at the time were, middle of the pack. And that didn't sit well with Boston's defensemen. Charlie McAvoy said, got them wondering where they were, and they wanted to be more dangerous when they can. Everybody has it in their game, and everybody on the blue line can score big goals. And that's really spurred Boston's defensemen as of late, as we saw in full effect on Sunday night with Hampus Lindholm and Charlie McAvoy both scoring goals in spectacular fashion. And it continues a run of recent games wherein Bruins defensemen have scored. Boston's blue line has now registered a goal in 5 consecutive games, 6 of their last 7. Per NHL stats, the last time the Bruins had goals from defensemen in 5 straight games was back in 2014. McAvoy, Lindholm scoring last night. Matt Grzelcyk has scored a couple recently. Connor Clifton and Derek Forbort chipping in over this streak as well. The only one who hasn't scored over the last several games, Brandon Carlo, who did drop the gloves last night after taking exception to a Timo Meier cross-check to the head while they were tangled up in the or behind the net anyways. Jim Montgomery reiterating it was maybe a month ago when they talked about defensemen not being as aggressive in the offensive zone as he would like. That's a hallmark of his system is having the defenseman more active. We saw that early on. Hampus, Lindholm, Sans, Charlie McAvoy in the lineup was lights out. A lot of people thought he was deserving of an all-star spot. Norris consideration. The results were there early. You're going to go through pockets and waves like that where defensemen are scoring. They already have the league's best offense, but it's nice for them to get rewarded and in impressive fashion. Lindholm dangling in the zone, going bar down. McAvoy gathering the puck around center ice, dangling in on 4 Sharks, and then putting in a beautiful move on James Reimer for the goal. Hampus Lindholm said if you could put it in the back of the net every game, you would, but it's a league with good players. Not as easy as it looks. It's fun that they can create some offense and take some of the load off David Pastrnak, Patrice Bergeron, Brad Marchand, and all those very talented forwards so they can get a bit of a breather and not have the pressure to score each and every night in order for them to win. So just a spectacular display from both Lindholm and McAvoy. McAvoy, the humble one, saying it felt good, got a little lucky, ended up going off his shin pad back to him, had some speed, tried to wiggle through there. Lindholm saying he's a great player, fun to be around. They feed off each other. It's such a luxury for the Bruins to have Lindholm and McAvoy in the lineup. Such a great trade made by Don Sweeney last year. Really, they have 2 number 1 defensemen, both strong, some similarities, some differences in their game. And we're starting to see now McAvoy, 2 months into his return from off-season shoulder surgery, really feeling more like himself, which is crazy, seeing as he has 29 points through 33 games. He said he feels like he's really getting there. When you're winning, it's certainly easier to have patience with yourself to find it. Testament to the team. Not every night everyone's going to have it, but they have so many guys that do, and they're able to find results. Similar with Brad Marchand, he said he's still kind of getting back into the full swing of things, not quite finding his optimal game. And it's crazy to think about how good this team could be with McAvoy and Marchand fully, on top of their games. But the big takeaway from last night was, of course, the defenseman chipping in 2 goals from Lindholm and McAvoy, and just honestly 2 goal of the year candidates when looking at the Boston Bruins output so far this season. A few more things I want to touch on from this win over the Sharks. But first, a quick word about one of today's sponsors, which is Athletic Greens. With 1 delicious scoop of AG1, you can absorb 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. It's a special blend of ingredients that supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. Basically anything that could be on your wellness to-do list. Now, Athletic Greens is a climate neutral certified company. In 2020, they purchased carbon credits that support projects protecting old growth rainforests. And for every purchase, They donate to organizations helping to get nutritious food to kids in need, including No Kid Hungry here in the U.S. In 2020, they donated over 1.2 million meals to kids, which is amazing. Right now, time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, the Bruins are about to embark on a several game road trip prior to the All-Star break. 5 games, in fact. We'll take a look at their opponents here in a few moments. They capped off the pre-All-Star game part of their schedule with another win on home ice. They're now 22-1-3 at TD Garden after the win over San Jose. Their only regulation loss coming over those Seattle Kraken that I mentioned earlier on in the day. Hampus Lindholm lauding the crowd. They know the city's behind them. It's a special building. He's felt that from day one coming to Boston, and they have to keep building on that. Still quite a road ahead, and it's fun to have the fans behind them. So keep it going, all of you who are wearing black and gold around town, going to the games. McAvoy added, it's a lot of fun. Show up for work every night, and you can feel like you can win every night. Everyone brings out the best in each other, and you just want to savor it right now. Nick Foligno also mentioning that it's a really special team. Once again, he said that a lot of storylines with this team, and it's pretty obvious. We all want them to win when it matters most. But for me, again, just trying to enjoy the ride and to appreciate each and every win as it comes, because it is indeed a very special group. I mentioned Ullmark not getting the shutout, still leads the league in all goaltending categories. David Pastrnak added some insurance to the defensive goals with his 36th goal of the season to make it 4-0, just 2:40 into the third period. Nick Foligno had previously added the third goal, which was great to see the fourth line chipping in. 14th power play goal of the year. He ranks second only to Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They both have 2 apiece. And when it comes to the Rocket Richard race, David Pastrnak trails Connor McDavid by 4 goals here. McDavid becoming the first player in the NHL this season to hit the 40-goal mark. Brandon Carlo was able to play. I mentioned him earlier, dropping the gloves with Timo Meier. There was some concern that he suffered a lower body injury in the game against the Rangers last week, but he was able to suit up and played quite well. As Bessie makes an appearance on today's podcast, climbing on my desk. Say hi, Bess. Go Bruins. In terms of the big bear of the night last night, it was a pretty solid team effort. A bunch of guys led the way with 3 shots on goal. Trent Frederick, Patrice Bergeron, Taylor Hall among them. Taylor Hall, again, not hitting the back of the net. I think he's gone 13, 14 games without a goal. Still playing very well. Getting some opportunities, only a matter of time before he finds the back of the net. I'm going to give Big Bears in this one to Lindholm and McAvoy for the 2 goals that they scored, which were unbelievable. All right, so a couple other things to touch on here today, but we will get to that after the break. First, a quick word about our sponsor today, which is FanDuel. The NFL playoffs are here, and we're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the number one sportsbook in America, and that's FanDuel. If you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make sports betting fun and easy. New customers can join today and get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Sign up at fanduel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. You can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same game parlay. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at fanduel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, a couple more things to touch on here. I mentioned Brandon Carlo coming back. Another guy who is injured is Jake DeBrusk. He missed the last 3 weeks, already missed 9 games due to injuries suffered at the Winter Classic, hand and foot. He will not travel with the team this week, but is expected to resume skating today, which is fantastic. He's got to check some boxes to come back. They don't have a timeline right now. Like him to be back before the All-Star break, but we're not going to push that with the break coming. They have a week or so off because of the All-Star break and their bye week. Speaking of forwards, Jim Montgomery confirmed the team will call up an extra forward from Providence for the road trip. They're going to confer last night which player that's going to be, and they are indeed heading out on a road trip that begins tomorrow night in Montreal. They will take on the Canadiens, followed by a trip down south, Tampa, then Florida, then the Carolina Hurricanes, a old school kind of Southeast Division romp, and then they will finish this part of the schedule at Toronto on February 1st against the Maple Leafs. Then they'll be off from the 2nd until the 10th, back in action on February 11th against the Washington Capitals. So that's kind of what you can expect. I saw a report suggesting that it will be Mark McLaughlin who will be recalled. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. Just checking the AHL transactions, and there's nothing on the board as of yet. That's it for today's episode, friends. A great game last night. Some big games coming up. And on tomorrow's podcast, we'll update the Eastern Conference power rankings and get you teed up for a game against the Montreal Canadiens. Hope you all had a great weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Locked On Boston Bruins.